Okay, let's jump right into this story. Imagine a bright, sunny Saturday afternoon. The kind of day where the sun is shining, the sky is blue, and everything feels happy and calm. In a little neighborhood, kids are zooming around on their bikes, laughing and shouting. Birds are chirping in the trees, making little songs that float through the air. It's peaceful, right? And there I am, me, Jake, just a regular guy standing in my driveway, working on my motorcycle. Now, this motorcycle isn't just any old bike. Oh no, it's special. It's shiny and black, like a big, sleek panther. When I turn it on, it roars like thunder, loud and strong. I saved up my money for months to buy it. Every time I look at it, I feel proud, like I worked hard and got something awesome. I'd twist a wrench here, tighten a bolt there, just making sure it was perfect. Most people in the neighborhood didn't care when I made it rumble a little. They's wave or smiles like, "Cool bike, Jake." But not everyone was happy. Nope, not her. Her name was Karen. Yep, that Karen. You know the type, the lady who acts like she's the boss of everything. She was the queen of our HOA, which is like a club that makes rules for the neighborhood. Karen walked around like she owned every house, every tree, every tiny blade of grass. She'd stand on her porch staring at me with her arms crossed tight across her chest. Her lips were always scrunched up, like she'd just eaten a sour lemon and didn't like it one bit. Everyone knew her around here. She was the one who'd knock on your door and say, "Your mailbox is too colorful, that's against the rules." Or she'd measure your grass with a ruler and go, "It's half an inch too tall, pay me a fine." Crazy, right? Me, I'm not like that. I like to keep things simple. I stay quiet, mind my own business, and just enjoy my days. I don't bother anyone, and I don't want anyone bothering me. But Karen, oh, she had a problem with me from the very first day I moved in. I could feel it. Every time I'd roll my motorcycle out of the garage, her eyes would lock onto me like lasers. She'd huff and puff, like I was doing something terrible just by existing. I didn't know why she didn't like me, but I could tell she was waiting for a chance to make trouble. And guess what? That sunny Saturday was the day she decided to try. It all started so normal. I woke up that morning feeling good. The sun was out and I thought, hey, today's a great day to work on my bike. So I pulled on my old jeans, grabbed my toolbox, and headed outside. My driveway is right in front of my house, a little square of concrete where I park my motorcycle. I set up a little spot with my tool, a wrench, a screwdriver, some rags to wipe off the grease. The bike gleamed in the sunlight, all shiny and perfect. I couldn't help but smile. I turned the key just a little and the engine growled vroom, like a big, happy beast waking up. It wasn't even that loud, just a quick sound to check if everything was working. I figured no one would mind. I mean, it's my driveway, right? My little piece of the world. The kids down the street kept riding their bikes, giggling as they raced each other. A lady walking her dog waved at me as she passed by. "Nice day, huh?" she called out. "Sure is," I said back, waving with my wrench in my hand. Everything was fine, normal, just another day in the neighborhood. But then I saw her, Karen. She was on her porch, like always, watching me. Her house is right across the street, so she had a perfect view of everything I did. She didn't wave, she didn't smile. She just stood there glaring, her arms folded so tight I thought they might snap. I tried to ignore her. I mean, what could she do? It's my house, my bike, my driveway. I wasn't hurting anyone, so I kept working. I wiped down the handlebars, making them shine even more. I checked the tires to make sure they were good. Every now and then I'd start the engine for a second, vroom, to hear that awesome sound. It made me happy. But every time I did, I'd catch Karen out of the corner of my eye. She'd flinch, like the noise was a monster coming to get her. Her face got redder and redder, like a tomato about to burst. I could tell she was mad, but I didn't think much of it. She was always mad about something. See, Karen wasn't just grumpy. She was the kind of person who loved telling people what to do. If your trash can was out 5 minutes too late, she'd write you a note. If your dog barked once, she'd call it a disturbance. One time, she told my neighbor, Mr. Tom, that his flowers were too bright and upset the neighborhood look. Mr. Tom just laughed and kept his flowers, but Karen didn't like that. She'd stomp around, muttering about rules and standards. Everyone kind of rolled their eyes at her, but we all knew she wasn't going anywhere. She'd been the HOA boss for years, and she loved that power. I'd only lived here a few months, but I'd already heard the stories. People said Karen once fined a guy for parking his car too close to the curb. Another time, she tried to ban kids from playing outside because it was too noisy. She had a little notebook where she wrote down everything she didn't like, and she'd use it to make people pay her money. It was weird, but I figured if I stayed out of her way, she'd leave me alone. Boy, was I wrong about that. That Saturday, I was just minding my own business, like always. The sun was warm on my back and the air smelled like fresh grass. I was happy, humming a little song to myself as I worked. My motorcycle was looking better than ever. I gave it a pat like it was my buddy. "You're a good one," I said to it, grinning. I didn't know it yet, but that ordinary day was about to get wild. Something big was coming, something I never saw coming, and it all started with Karen. She'd been watching me for a while by then. I'd look up every now and then, and there she was, still on her porch, still staring. I thought maybe she'd get bored and go inside, but nope, she just kept standing there like a statue of grumpiness. I shrugged it off and kept working. I didn't want trouble, I just wanted to enjoy my day. But Karen, she had other plans, big plans, and they were about to turn everything upside down. So what do you think? Have you ever met someone like Karen, someone who acts like they're in charge of the whole world? Drop a comment and tell me. I bet you've got some stories of your own, and trust me, this one's just getting started. That sunny Saturday, it was about to go from calm to crazy, all because of one lady and her big loud mouth. Stick around, you won't believe what happens next. Okay, here we go, things are about to get exciting. So I was just standing there in my driveway, working on my shiny black motorcycle. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and I was feeling pretty good. I'd been twisting a wrench, wiping off grease, and making sure my bike was perfect. It was a normal Saturday afternoon, or so I thought, but then out of nowhere it happened. A sound, not a little tap, oh no, it was a big loud bang 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 on my front door. It was so hard, the whole door shook like it might fall off. I stopped what I was doing. My hands were all dirty from the motorcycle, so I grabbed a rag and wiped off the black grease. It stuck to my fingers like sticky mud, but I got most of it off. I walked over to the door, wondering who could be making such a racket. I turned the knob, pulled the door open, and there she was, Karen. Yep, that Karen, the grumpy lady from across the street. She stood there, looking mad as a hornet. Her arms weren't crossed this time. Nope, she was holding her phone in her hand, gripping it tight like it was a sword or something. Her face was red, her eyes were tiny slits, and I knew right away she was here to start trouble. She didn't even say hi. She just pointed one bony finger at my motorcycle and yelled, "That thing." Her voice was sharp, like a dog barking. "That thing is a noise violation," she spat. Spit actually flew out of her mouth a little. That's how mad she was. She kept going. "I've warned you before, Jake. I told you to keep that loud junk quiet. This time I'm done playing nice. I'm calling the cops." The way she said cops, it sounded like she'd been waiting all day to say it. I blinked at her. My motorcycle, a noise violation. I didn't get it. I mean, sure, it growled a little when I started it, vroom vroom, but it wasn't like I was racing it up and down the street. I was just fixing it, making it run smooth. So I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. I didn't want to fight with her. "Karen," I said, real slow and easy, "it's my driveway. I'm just tuning it up. It's not even that loud, I promise." I gave her a little smile, hoping she'd chill out and go back home. But oh no, Karen wasn't chilling out, not even close. She didn't care what I said. It was like my words bounced right off her, like throwing a ball at a brick wall. Her eyes got even smaller, like little angry dots, and she leaned forward. "You think you're above the rules," she barked. Her voice was loud now, loud enough that the kids down the street stopped riding their bikes for a second to look over. "People like you don't belong here." She shouted, jabbing her finger at me like I was some kind of criminal. Then she spun around, her shoes stomping on the ground, and marched off back to her house. As she went, I saw her punch numbers into her phone, 9-1-1. She was really doing it. She was calling the police. I stood there, my mouth open a little. Did she just say I don't belong here? What did that even mean? I'm just a guy who likes motorcycles. I pay my bills, I mow my lawn, I wave at people when they walk by. I'm not some troublemaker. But Karen didn't see it that way. To her, I was the bad guy, all because of my bike. I watched her storm across the street, her phone pressed to her ear, talking fast. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could guess. Probably something like, "Help. There's a noisy motorcycle, arrest him." It was nuts. I shook my head and rolled my eyes so hard I thought they might roll right out of my face. "She's all talk," I told myself. "I mean, come on, calling the cops over a little engine noise. That's silly. The police have better things to do, like catch real bad guys, not bother some dude fixing his bike." So I turned around and walked back to my motorcycle. The sun was still shining, my tools were still spread out, and I wasn't going to let Karen ruin my day. I picked up my wrench and got back to work. Vroom, I started the engine for a quick second just to check it. It sounded awesome, like a big lion roaring. I grinned. "Take that, Karen," I thought. But deep down, something felt off. I kept working, twisting bolts and wiping down the shiny parts, but I couldn't shake this little wiggle of worry in my stomach. What if she wasn't just talking? What if the cops really showed up? Nah, I told myself, that's crazy. She's just mad and yelling like always. She'll get over it. I kept my head down, focusing on my bike. The kids started riding again, their bike bells ringing. The birds went back to chirping. Everything seemed normal again. But Karen. She wasn't done, not by a long shot. See, Karen wasn't like most people. Most people, if they're mad, they might grumble a little and then move on. Not her. When Karen got mad, she turned into a tornado, spinning around, breaking stuff and sucking everyone into her mess. I'd seen her do it before, like the time she yelled at Mrs. Lucy down the street for having a messy garden. It was just a few weeds, but Karen acted like it was a jungle. She wrote Mrs. Lucy a big fine and left it on her doorstep. Or the time she told Mr. Pete his dog barked too much, even though the dog was old and barely made a peep. Karen didn't care about facts. She cared about being in charge. And me, I guess I was her new target. Maybe it was the motorcycle. Maybe it was because I didn't bow down to her silly rules. I don't know. But that day she decided I was the enemy. As I worked on my bike, I kept sneaking little looks across the street. Her porch was empty now. She must have gone inside to call the cops. I pictured her in there, packing around, yelling into her phone about how awful I was. It made me laugh a little. Good luck with that, Karen, I muttered under my breath. I tightened another bolt and wiped my hands on my rag again. The grease was all over me now, on my fingers, under my nails, even a little on my shirt. I didn't care. I liked getting dirty. It meant I was doing something real, something I loved. My motorcycle was my baby, and no grumpy lady was going to take that away from me. I turned the key again, vroom vroom, and listened to the engine purr. It was perfect. I leaned back, feeling proud. Let her call whoever she wants, I thought. I'm not scared. But then I remembered her words. People like you don't belong here. That stuck with me. What did she mean, people like me? Was it because I had a motorcycle? Because I wasn't afraid of her? It bugged me like a little splinter in my brain. I didn't want to fight with her, but she was making it hard to stay nice. I took a deep breath and tried to push it out of my head. Focus on the bike, Jake, I told myself. She's just being Karen. The sun was still high in the sky, and the neighborhood was still buzzing with normal stuff. Kids laughing, a lawnmower humming somewhere down the block. I figured everything would be fine. Karen was loud, sure, but she couldn't really do anything right. I mean, the cops wouldn't care about this. It was too small, too silly. So I kept working, twisting my wrench, shining up my bike, and waiting for the day to go back to normal. Little did I know, normal was gone. Karen had started something big, and I was about to find out just how wrong I was to think she was all talk. Trouble was coming, and it was coming fast. All right, let's keep this story rolling. So there I was, back in my driveway, still messing with my motorcycle. I just wiped some grease off my hands and tightened a bolt. The sun was shining, and I was starting to forget about Karen and her big, loud threats. I thought, she's probably inside, yelling at her phone, but nothing's gonna happen. I was wrong, super wrong. About 15 minutes after she stormed off, I heard something. A sound, not just any sound, sirens. Yep, real police sirens, like wee-oo, the kind you hear in movies when the cops are coming fast. I stopped what I was doing. My wrench was still in my hand, and I tilted my head to listen. The noise got louder and louder, closer and closer. No way, I said to myself. She didn't really call the cops, did she? But then I saw them, 2 police cars, shiny with red and blue lights flashing, rolling right onto my street. My stomach did a little flip, like when you're on a roller coaster and it drops fast. I stepped out of my driveway onto the grass to get a better look. And guess who was already out there? Karen. Oh yeah, she was standing in the middle of the street, waving her arms around like she was trying to land an airplane. That's him, she yelled, pointing right at me with her skinny finger. He's disturbing the peace. I blinked, disturbing the peace. Me, I was just a guy with a motorcycle. I didn't even have music playing or anything. But Karen was loud, and she was mad, and she wanted everyone to know it. The kids on their bikes stopped riding and stared. A lady watering her flowers down the street turned off her hose to watch. Everyone was looking now, Karen, the cops, me. It was like a big show, and I was the star, whether I wanted to be or not. The police cars stopped, and two officers climbed out. They were wearing dark blue uniforms with shiny badges, and they didn't look happy. Their faces were all serious, like they'd rather be anywhere else. One of them walked toward me, his boots clomping on the pavement. The other one stayed by the car, fiddling with something on his belt. I figured this was no big deal. I'd just tell them what happened, and they'd see it was all silly. "Hi, officer," I said, trying to sound calm. "I'm Jake. I was just working on my motorcycle. It's not loud or anything. Karen's just upset." The cop nodded, but he didn't smile. "We got a call about a noise complaint," he said. His voice was deep, like a teacher telling you to sit down. "Can you tell me what's going on?" I took a breath and started explaining. "See, I've got this bike," I said, pointing at it. "It's mine, and I was fixing it up in my driveway. I turned it on a couple times, vroom vroom, but it's not crazy loud. Karen came over, banged on my door, and said she'd call you guys. That's it." I shrugged, like, "See? No problem here." The cop scribbled something on a little notepad. "Okay," he said, "so you're just tuning it up." "Yep," I said, "it's my driveway, my house. I'm not bothering anyone." He looked at my motorcycle, then back at me. "All right, hang on," he said, and he turned his head to look at Karen. She was still in the street, flapping her arms and talking to the other cop. Her voice was loud enough that I could hear bits of it, stuff like "unacceptable" and "rules." She sounded like a broken record, saying the same grumpy things over and over. I thought that'd be it. The cop would see I wasn't doing anything bad, and they'd tell Karen to go home. But then I noticed something weird. The second cop, the one by the car, wasn't even looking at me, not once. His eyes were locked on Karen, and his face wasn't just annoyed anymore. It was different, like he was thinking hard about something. He squinted at her like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. My heart started beating a little faster. Why wasn't he looking at me? I was the one she called about, right? Then I heard something else. The cop near the car had a little radio on his shoulder, and it crackled. You know, like those walkie-talkies cops have. It made a scratchy sound, and a voice came through. I couldn't hear all of it, just little pieces. "Warrant, and check the address." Wait, what? Warrant, address? My brain started spinning. Was that about me? Did I do something wrong? No way, I hadn't done anything. I just moved here a few months ago, and all I did was work and ride my bike sometimes. I wasn't a troublemaker, but my hands got sweaty anyway, and I wiped them on my jeans. The cop talking to me didn't seem worried. He kept asking boring questions like, "How long were you running the engine? And did anyone else complain?" I answered him, "Not long, just a few seconds," and "Nope, just Karen." But I kept sneaking looks at the other cop. He was still staring at Karen, and now he was talking into his radio real quiet. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy yelling, "He's been doing this all day. It's awful. Arrest him." Arrest me for what? Fixing my bike. This was getting crazier by the minute. I tried to stay cool. "Officer," I said, "I don't know why she's so mad. It's just a motorcycle. I'm not hurting anyone." He nodded again, but his eyes flicked over to Karen too. "We'll sort it out," he said. Sort it out? What did that mean? I didn't like the sound of that. My stomach was doing flips now, like butterflies bouncing around inside me. Something was up, something bigger than just a noisy bike. Then the second cop started walking over. He wasn't rushing, but his steps were steady, like he had a plan. Karen saw him coming and turned her shouting at him. "Officer, officer, you need to do something about this boy," she screeched. "Boy, I'm a grown-up, but I didn't say anything, I just watched." The cop didn't answer her right away. He stopped a few feet away, looked at her hard, and then said something into his radio again. I couldn't hear it, but Karen kept going. "He's breaking all the rules. The HOA won't stand for this." That's when I saw it. The first cop, the one talking to me, tilted his head like he was listening to his own radio. His eyebrows went up just a little. He looked at his partner, then back at Karen, then at me. "Hang on a sec," he said to me, and he stepped away to talk to the other cop. They huddled together, whispering. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy pointing at me and huffing. But I noticed. Oh yeah, I noticed everything now. My heart was thumping like a drum. Boom, boom, boom. What were they saying? Why weren't they telling me anything? I tried to listen harder. The wind was blowing a little, and it carried some of their words my way. Active, and her name, who's her? Karen. My eyes went wide. Was this about Karen, not me? I looked at her, still waving her arms like a crazy person, and then back at the cops. They weren't annoyed anymore. They looked serious, like really serious. The second cop pulled something out of his pocket, a little black thing, maybe handcuffs. My jaw dropped. Handcuffs? For who? I didn't know what was happening, but I knew it was big. Bigger than my motorcycle, bigger than Karen's yelling. Something was brewing, like a storm getting ready to crash down. My hands were shaking a little now, not because I was scared for me, but because I had no idea what was coming next. The cops kept whispering, Karen kept shouting, and I just stood there, my wrench still in my hand, waiting. Whatever it was about to explode, and I had a front row seat. Okay, here, where things get wild. So I was standing there in my driveway talking to one of the cops. He was asking me boring stuff, like how long I'd been working on my motorcycle. I was answering, trying to stay calm, when bam, he stopped talking. Right in the middle of his sentence, he froze. His partner, the other cop, waved at him from across the street. "Hey, come here," the partner called. The cop with me said, "Hold on," and walked over fast. I watched, my heart beating quick, wondering what was up. The second cop looked at Karen, who was still yelling and pointing at me. He said loud and clear, "Ma'am, are you Karen Phillips?" Karen straightened up, sticking her chest out like she was super proud. "Yes, I am," she snapped, "and I demand you arrest this troublemaker right now." She jabbed her finger at me again, her face all smug and mean. I thought, oh great, here we go. But then the cop's face changed. It went hard, like a rock, and super serious. He stared at her and said, "Ms. Phillips, we're not here for him. We're here for you." What? Karen's mouth fell open like a fish gasping for air. My mouth dropped too, I couldn't believe it. The cop reached down to his belt and pulled out shiny silver handcuffs. Karen's eyes got huge. "There's an active warrant for your arrest," the cop said, his voice strong. "Fraud and harassment complaints from lots of neighbors. It looks like you've been making fake HOA fines and keeping the money for yourself." Whoa, my brain spun. Karen was a crook, stealing money. This was nuts. Karen's face went white, like all the color just ran away. She started to say something, but the cop didn't wait. He stepped forward, grabbed her wrists, and click, click, snapped the handcuffs on her. She looked like she might faint. Me, I was still standing there, holding my motorcycle wrench, my jaw on the ground. I wanted to laugh so bad, but I didn't. It was too crazy to laugh yet. Karen had called the cops on me, and now she was the one in trouble. She messed up big time, and it was all her own fault. The cops didn't even look at me anymore. They were all about Karen now. She tried to wiggle her hands, but the cuffs held tight. "This is a mistake," she yelled, but it sounded weak, like she knew she was caught. I just watched, my wrench dangling in my hand, thinking, wow, she really did this to herself. She wanted me gone, but instead, she accidentally turned herself in. It was like a big, funny surprise, and I couldn't wait to see what happened next. Okay, here's how it all wrapped up. The cops had Karen now, her hands stuck in those shiny handcuffs. They started walking her to their patrol car, the one with the flashing red and blue lights. She didn't go quietly, though. Oh no, she twisted her whole body around, trying to look back at us. "This is a mistake," she shouted, her voice all high and squeaky. "I'm the victim here, you've got it all wrong." But nobody believed her, not even a little bit. The people were coming out of their houses now. Neighbors I'd seen around but didn't really know stepped onto their lawns, watching everything. They'd heard the sirens and Karen's yelling, and now they wanted to see what was happening. One guy, a big man with a gray beard, even started clapping his hands, clap, 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 like it was a show and he loved the ending. I looked around and saw other people nodding, whispering to each other. They weren't mad or scared, they were happy, and then I found out why. It turns out, Karen had been mean to everyone for years. Not just me, everybody. She'd been making up fake rules, like telling people their houses were the wrong color or their dogs were too loud. She'd write big fines on little pieces of paper and leave them on doorsteps, saying, "Pay me or else." She acted like she was the boss of the whole neighborhood, a dictator who could do whatever she wanted. But here's the big secret. She wasn't just bossy, she was sneaky. She'd been taking that fine money and keeping it for herself like a thief. The neighbors had complained about her lots of times, and now the cops knew the truth. Karen was done for. The cops shoved her into the back of the patrol car. She kept yelling, but the door slammed shut and her voice got all muffled. The neighbors watched as the car started up, its lights still flashing. I stood there in my driveway, still holding my wrench, feeling like I'd just won something without even trying. The two cops turned to me before they left. The one who'd talked to me earlier gave a little nod. "Sorry for the mix-up, man," he said. Then he looked at my motorcycle and smiled. "Nice bike, by the way." I grinned big, feeling proud all over again. I couldn't help myself, I had to do it. I climbed onto my motorcycle, turned the key, and gave the engine a little rev. Vroom vroom. It wasn't super loud, just enough to make a deep, happy growl. The sound bounced off the houses and rolled down the street, right as the police car drove away with Karen inside. I watched it go, her face pressed against the window, getting smaller and smaller until it was gone. The neighbors started talking louder now, laughing even. One lady said, "Good riddance." And another guy cheered, "Finally." The air felt different after that. Lighter, like a big, heavy cloud had floated away. The neighborhood wasn't quiet anymore, it was alive with people smiling and chatting. Karen's reign was over and we all knew it. I leaned against my bike, still grinning, thinking how wild it was. She tried to get me in trouble, but she got herself caught instead. Justice? Oh yeah, it was served, and it felt so good. All right, friends, that's the whole story. Can you believe it? The HOA Karen, the lady who thought she could boss everyone around, got herself into big trouble. She tried to control the neighborhood, pointing fingers and yelling about rules, but in the end, she revved her own ride straight to justice. Isn't that funny? Life is wild sometimes, huh? One minute she was calling the cops on me, thinking she'd win, and the next she was the one in handcuffs, riding away in a police car. It's like a big surprise party, but not the fun kind, not for her anyway. Let's think about this for a second. Karen was loud, she was mean. She acted like she was the queen of everything, telling people what to do, making up fake fines, and acting all high and mighty. She pointed at me and said, "He's the bad guy." But guess what? She was hiding something sneaky. She had big secrets, stealing money from neighbors, bullying everyone for years. She thought no one would find out, but the truth came out bright and loud, like my motorcycle's vroom vroom. Sometimes the people who shout the loudest and point the most fingers are the ones with the biggest messes hiding behind them. Funny how that works, right? I learned something that day, standing there with my wrench in my hand, watching Karen get taken away. Life has a way of flipping things around. Karen thought she could scare me, make me stop working on my bike, maybe even make me feel bad. But I didn't let her. I just kept doing my thing, fixing my motorcycle, wiping off grease, enjoying my sunny Saturday. And you know what? That's what got me through. I didn't fight her. I didn't yell back. I just stayed me, and that was enough. The cops saw the truth, the neighbors saw it too, and Karen's own plan fell apart like a house made of cards. So here's a little tip for you. Next time someone tries to boss you around, don't sweat it. If they're mean or loud or telling you what to do, just smile and keep going. Do what makes you happy, like I did with my bike. You don't have to argue or get mad. Sometimes the best thing is to stay calm and let life sort it out. Because here's the cool part, you never know what's coming their way. Maybe they're hiding something like Karen was. Maybe their own trouble is sneaking up behind them, ready to jump out and say, "Gotcha," just like it did that day on my street. Think about it. Have you ever seen something like this happen? Maybe a bully at school who acted all tough but got caught doing something silly. Or someone who bragged a lot but tripped over their own feet. That's what people call karma. It's like when you do good stuff comes back to you. And when you do sneaky stuff, well, it catches up eventually. I saw it with my own eyes. Karen thought she was so smart, calling the cops on me, but karma rolled in like a big wave and washed her away. It was awesome to watch, and it made me feel strong, like I didn't have to worry about her anymore. What do you think about that? Have you ever seen karma hit someone like that? Maybe a time when a mean kid got in trouble or a grumpy person got what they deserved. I bet you've got a story. Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. It's fun to share these things, right? We can laugh and cheer together about how life sometimes fixes itself. Karen's story is proof. Don't mess with people for no reason, because you might end up in a bigger mess than you planned. This whole crazy day taught me something else too. It's okay to be yourself even if someone doesn't like it. I love my motorcycle. It's loud, it's shiny, and it makes me happy. Karen hated it, but that's her problem, not mine. I didn't change for her, and I'm glad I didn't. You shouldn't change for anyone either. If you like drawing, draw all day. If you like singing, sing loud. If you like bikes like me, rev that engine and grin big. The people who matter will like you just the way you are, and the ones who don't, well, they might just ride off in a police car someday. Ha. Alright, let's keep going with this fun ending. We've already talked about how wild it was that Karen, the HOA boss, got herself caught. She thought she was so smart, but she ended up in big trouble instead. It's like a lesson wrapped in a crazy story, right? I'm still amazed at how it all turned out, and I bet you are too. So let's dig a little deeper and chat more about what this means for you and me. because there's a lot to think about here. One big thing I keep coming back to is how Karen didn't see it coming. She was so busy pointing at me, yelling about my motorcycle, that she didn't even think about herself. She was like a kid throwing a tantrum, stomping her feet and waving her arms. But while she was doing all that, the truth was sneaking up behind her, ready to pounce. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes people get so caught up in being mad at others that they forget to check their own stuff. Karen forgot that her sneaky tricks, stealing money, making fake rules, weren't hidden forever. They were like a big pile of leaves, and the wind of justice blew them all away. That makes me wonder, how often do we see that in real life? Maybe you've got a friend or someone at school who's always picking on others. They might tease or boss people around, acting like they're the best. But then one day something happens. Maybe they trip in front of everyone, or they get caught cheating on a game. It's like the universe says, hey, slow down, you're not as perfect as you think. That's what happened to Karen. She thought she was the queen, but she turned out to be the fool. It's a good reminder for all of us, don't be too quick to judge others, because you might be the one who needs fixing. And here's the cool part, I didn't have to do anything to make it happen. I didn't yell at her or fight back. I just kept working on my bike, doing what I love. That's a big deal, you know. Sometimes you don't have to argue or get mad. You can just be yourself, keep your head down, and let things work out. I stood there in my driveway, twisting my wrench, wiping off grease, and smiling at my shiny motorcycle. Karen was mad, sure, but I didn't let it ruin my day. And in the end, that's what won. Not her shouting, not her rules, me being me. That feels pretty awesome, doesn't it? So what about you? What's your motorcycle? What's that thing you love to do even if someone else doesn't like it? Maybe it's playing soccer or drawing pictures or building stuff with blocks. Whatever it is, hold onto it tight. Don't let anyone take it away from you, even if they're loud like Karen. Because here's the secret, when you do what makes you happy, you're stronger than any bully. I kept my bike and it turned out fine. You can keep your thing too, and who knows? Maybe the Karens in your life will trip over their own feet someday. Let's talk about the neighbors for a minute. They were so happy when Karen got caught. I saw them clapping, laughing, even cheering a little. They'd been scared of her for so long, worried about her fines, her mean notes, her grumpy face. But that day they weren't scared anymore. They stood on their lawns, watching her get taken away, and it was like they could breathe again. That's what happens when a bully loses their power. Everyone else gets to feel free. Have you ever felt that? Like when a mean kid finally gets in trouble and the whole class sighs with relief. It's the best feeling, like the sun coming out after a rainy day. I think that's a big lesson too. When someone's mean or bossy, it's not just about you, it's about everyone they bug. Karen wasn't just mad at me, she was mean to the whole neighborhood. But when the truth came out, we all won together. It's like a team victory. So if you're dealing with a Karen in your life, remember you're not alone. Other people probably see it too, and one day you might all cheer together when things get fixed. That's what happened on my street, and it felt so good to be part of it. Now let's imagine something fun. Picture yourself in my shoes that day. You're standing there holding a wrench or maybe a paintbrush or a soccer ball, whatever you like. Someone's yelling at you, telling you to stop, saying you're wrong. What do? Do you give up? Nope. You smile, nod, and keep going. You keep painting or kicking the ball or fixing your bike. And then, surprise, the yeller gets in trouble instead. How great would that feel? I bet you laugh just like I wanted to when Karen's handcuffs clicked on. It's like winning without even trying. Here's another thing I keep thinking about. Karen's face when the cops turned on her. Oh man, it was priceless. She went from smug and loud to shocked and quiet in 2 seconds flat. Her eyes got big, her mouth dropped open, and all that red anger drained out of her cheeks. It was like watching a balloon pop, poof, and all the air rushed out. That's what happens when someone's big plan falls apart. They think they've got it all figured out, but then bam, life says, nope, not today. I'll never forget that look. It's a picture in my head forever, and it makes me giggle every time. So what's the big takeaway here? I think it's this: be you and don't worry about the loudmouths. They might huff and puff, but they can't blow your house down, not if you're strong in who you are. Karen couldn't stop me from loving my motorcycle, and no one can stop you from loving what you love. Keep going, keep smiling, and watch what happens. Life's got a funny way of making things right, just like it did that sunny Saturday. The bad guys don't always win, and the good stuff, like my bike's roar, keeps on shining. What do you think about all this? Have you ever had a day where someone tried to ruin it, but it turned out awesome instead? Maybe a time when you kept doing your thing and won in the end? Tell me in the comments, I'm dying to know. I bet you've got some great stories and I'd love to hear them. It's so fun to share these moments, right? We can laugh and cheer for each other, just like my neighbors did when Karen drove off. This story's done, but there's more to come. I'll see you in the next one, okay? Keep being your amazing self and don't let any Karens get you down. You're too cool for that. Drop your thoughts below. Did you like this? Did it make you smile? Let's talk about it. Until next time, keep revving your own engine, whatever that might be. You've got this.